All right, and we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to PM Therapy Live. By the way, if you can hear us, just say hello in the chat. I think we're live. I see all indications that we're live, but it's always nice to just get a confirmation. But I will go ahead and just kick things off. This is a new season of PM Therapy, season 3. Believe it or not, it's been a while. We're supposed to start last week, but due to some issues, we couldn't. So I'm glad that we are able to start today. And thank you all so much for being patient with us. All right. So today's topic is bridging the PM developer gap. Right? How do you learn? How do you lead, earn trust, and communicate with developers? So I'm really excited about this topic because this is something that I have struggled with. Right? I've led a lot of technical projects. And I imagine that this is something that many of you struggle with as well. All right. So, for those of you that work with developers, there's usually this tension that exists between PMs and developers, right? So, it could be from the developer side, you can't really get them to take you seriously, right? Sometimes, or you can't really get them to um, it's difficult leading them, right? And also vice versa from the developer side, the developers just think that PMs don't get it, right? So I would like to really explore this, and I think we have the right and the perfect guest because she's been both a developer and now she's a PM. All right, so I'm really excited to have this conversation with Irina. Irina, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm really happy to discuss this topic. This is also really personal for me.
Awesome, awesome. So, Irina, for those that don't know who you are, could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. I started my career path not as a PM and not as a developer. I started it as a marketer. I have a degree in public relations and marketing, and I worked there for 5 years before I was completely burned out. I was young. I didn't understand the limits and different that you need to do at work. So I burned out so harsh. So I was, I feel basically feel nausea every time when everyone talks with me about marketing at
Mhm.
that moment. So I was bartending and thinking something that I can do. And that was the moment when boot camps, it was the era of boot camps, like everyone was talking about boot camps, programming, how to start programming, and all this stuff. A lot of people around me started learning programming, and I was like, why not? So yeah, I took a boot camp for 6 months. I found my first job, thankfully to my clients actually, at the bar. So they offered me a junior position. I started working, and I was really, really interested so interested that I went back to university to get a full computer science degree. At that moment, I thought it was really necessary for me to become a really good developer. Um, and growing in companies with roles, I started thinking that there is a gap, actually, really huge gap between how developers see their job and how the company sees the value of their job.
Hmm.
In some companies, it was people who try to bridge this gap, usually project or product managers who trying to help with that. But I think I was really thinking that this is something I can do. I have a lot of background in business. I truly understand what business looking for. And for that moment, I already was like 6 years in programming. I was a really good developer. I was senior developer. So I was like, this is a great opportunity for me to combine all my skills and to make something really interesting and useful for me, for people I'm working with.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think you mentioned a very interesting point there, which is you saw a gap between how developers view their jobs versus how the company views their job. Are you able to touch a bit more on that? I think that's a very interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of developers, I think it's starting from the hiring process of developers, because when we're trying to hire a developer, usually what we're checking their programming skills, we're checking their knowledge, their technical knowledge.
Right.
Sometimes we have some fit interview, some behavioral interview, but we're never talking with them about their value and about the business. And when they join the team and the company, they thinking that they getting paid for the code they produce. So everything else outside of producing the code, it's actually a problem for them. Because they think like, okay, if I have 40 hours a week and I'm spending only 30 hours programming and 10 hours for meetings, for emails, for communicating with my colleagues. So these 10 hours actually useless because I can do programming for these 10 hours. Why I need all of this? If company hired me to write code, why I need this 10 hours? And yeah, it's really big misconception around developers. So I was hired to produce a code. Why I need these meetings?
Right. That's a very interesting. I know that that's something that many PMs can relate with. It's almost like, oh, another meeting. And I mean, I think there are instances where some meetings are useless, right? So I think as PMs we need to be very mindful of when we demand meetings, when we schedule meetings, and there needs to be a balance. But I really like the point of yeah, I don't know if I've ever really thought about it that way, because I know like there's this thing of, please don't invite me over, and there's always this pushback against meetings, but there are other things that need to happen on the periphery for you to actually do your job well, or for your job to actually be of value to the company, right? And I think this is the same for every job. Like even as a PM, there are things that we do, and then there are things that that we might not enjoy doing, but we just have to do it as part of the job, right? So I thought that was a really interesting point. Yeah. So why don't we? I think the way I want to approach this conversation is, we look at it from both sides, from the perspective of the developer, and also from the perspective of the PM. So I guess I want to go to your days as when you're a developer. What annoyed you the most about PMs? Maybe I can start there. What annoyed you the most about PMs as a developer?
I think I always had this idea that PMs don't understand the complexity of my work as a developer. And because of that, every help they offer, every question they asking me, it seems really annoying and useless because I'm doing my work. Like, company hired me and assessed my hard skills to program, to code. I'm doing what I teams need to do. And there is a project manager who is asking me a lot of questions about my work instead of, as I see as a developer, instead of giving me time so I can do my work.
Right. So no, that makes complete sense. I think like, for I think when just for as a human being, when you feel another person gets you, like it makes you like that person has credibility in your eyes, right? So I can see how if you don't understand the complexity, it's it's like they don't really take you seriously. Some people are not nice about it. Like some people see that as an opportunity to look down upon you, and some other people are different, are more understanding. So would you say like this is maybe one of the main reasons why there's tension between the PMs? I know you mentioned before it's like like the developer wants to focus on coding, which is the core of their work, right? So there's the aspect of you're not letting me do my job. But when it comes, the other point that you mentioned now is that you don't really get me, right? So I'm trying to find out like what would you say is the main source of tension? Is it one or the other? Is it both? Are there more things? Does my question make sense?
Yeah. I think the problem with this misconception around developers that they don't understand that the business values their code only if this code makes more money for business.
Mm-hmm.
If their work, what they're doing, doesn't align with current priorities of business and current goals, and they're always changing, right? If it's not aligning with it, it doesn't make sense. Company is not interested to pay for this. And some developers getting laid off and they have a lot of questions like why I was coding, I was doing everything you asked me when you hired me,
Mm-hmm.
but
Right.
business didn't get a value from a product, and if they didn't get a value from a product, they don't have money to pay.
Right.
So, and this is creating the tension. And also most of developers, I think, don't fully understand what project manager is actually doing.
Hmm.
This is another problem.
Right, right. So, and did you, so when you were a developer, did you work with PMs as well? Like, did you have PMs that you were working with when you were a developer?
Yeah, I had one project with the project manager.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of interesting situation because it was a small project, and for a long time we worked only as a developers. We had engineering manager who was responsible for the project, but we didn't have any project or product manager. And one day, company just presented a new project manager for our project and also product manager. And it was kind of scary because you expecting a lot of changes when someone brings a new manager,
Right.
especially two, basically in our case.
Hmm.
So yeah, when we started working, but because of my business background, I didn't have a really clear understanding what they should do, but at least I a bit had this idea of what they're looking for the business, right?
Right.
So at that moment, because I had business background, I was thinking like, okay, I've personally felt like some relief because we finally have help from business side.
Mm-hmm.
But for my most of my colleagues, it was completely opposite feeling.
Right. Right. And would so you would attribute that understanding to your business background, um, or would you attribute that to maybe your seniority? Like, do you see that that changes the senior a developer gets?
Hmm. Yeah, I think yeah, there is some kind of meaning in that. So when you go growing as a developer, usually like the higher grade you have, the business expecting from you understanding not only your work as a developer, as a coder, but also starting understanding business more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think this is a recent changes that happens in the market.
Mm,
So when I worked back as a developer like 5 years ago,
right.
10 years ago, it wasn't something like that. They were expecting from developers just doing their job.
Right.
So it's kind of something new. I think because of all of these changes, layoffs, and economic crisis we have, there is more responsibilities for developers that
Mhm.
business offering for.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah. No, no, that makes complete sense. And with AI in the picture, and
yeah,
companies want to do more with less or fewer developers. So I can only imagine. Okay, so I think yeah, we're gonna switch over to the other side. But before we do that, we're gonna go on a quick break. So if you're watching this on YouTube and Substack, please just make sure you subscribe if you're liking this so far. It costs you nothing. It really helps us out. If you're listening to this on Spotify and Apple, if you're liking what you hear so far, just give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us out. All right. Okay. So now let's get back to the show. All right. So before we went on a break, I was speaking with Irina, and we're talking about the this PM developer gap, right? And we're exploring things from the perspective of the developer. So now I want to switch sides and look at things from the perspective of a PM. So Irina has been on both sides. She's been a developer now she's a PM. So first of all, Irina, how did you make that switch from being a developer to becoming a PM? So I know you started in marketing, did a boot camp, became a programmer, went to school, became an even better programmer, and then you somehow made the switch to PM. So can you talk about the switch?
yeah. My first management position wasn't a project manager. In that moment in my company, we didn't have project managers at all. So we had product managers.
Hmm.
My positions were officially called engineering manager. So this is something that you usually grow into when you're a developer. So officially, that was called engineering manager. But I had a really small team and small projects, and they expecting me to doing project manager's work. So when I started moving and things and trying to understand all of this, I went back to my manager, was like, I know that this is something that we have in our company, right?
Mhm.
But I think this is actually called something else. It's called technical project manager. And I mean specifically technical because I was still involved a lot in making engineering and technical decisions and help with some crisis situation. So yeah, but this is not engineering manager. This team is small, and I'm doing a lot of work around processes, around the product. I'm helping with tickets. So I suggested to rename this position and kind of review the responsibilities inside the company.
Okay. Was that a preference? Was that your preference as well? Because I know, and this is why I'm asking this, right? Because one of the things with project management is that you don't necessarily see a direct path all the way to the top, right? So with engineering, the senior engineering, TL, engineering manager, director of engineering, VP of engineering, CTO, product has the same thing all the
Yeah.
way. Marketing, sales, but project management, we tend to stop at maybe director of PMO. So yeah, that's why I'm asking this, because it kind of seemed like, okay, from where you were, you had a view all the way to the top, but you decided that you wanted to be a technical project manager. Or am I misreading? that?
There is different expectations from business from these two positions, usually from engineering manager and technical project manager.
Mm,
They're different, and I was I was trying to keep up with being engineering manager, but because of specific of my project, I was like, okay, um, I had a lot of fears that I'm losing my technical skills, and this fear was really real
right.
because I was more focused on management and processes, on
Mm,
making the better communication between business and my team,
right.
more than helping them to do a real programming job.
Mm,
So I asked my manager to reconsider this position, not because money or growth or something like that, just because so I am business, then we have the same vision
right.
who this person and which responsibilities there are for this role specifically,
Right.
because there was too much on this role. They were expecting me to do all of this stuff. And I
Mm,
was like, what is more important for you? From what how my role can make this business better. So
right.
that was a question why we changed. And I grew up in technical project manager, and then went to programming management and all of
Right.
this. Yeah.
That makes sense. So, you just wanted to make sure that your title was aligned to what you're actually doing and what the business needed from you, right? That's my understanding. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It helps everyone sleep. Expectation setting. It's always nice when everybody's on the same page. Yeah, it's just less headache. Okay, so now you're a PM. Um, what mistakes would you say you made early on? Because I imagine there was a learning curve. Like, so what
Yeah.
mistakes did you make early on as a PM?
Uh, I'm not sure that our audience will relate to my experience in these mistakes, but because I was a developer for the same team, and then I switched back to management, all these people, they knew me before. They knew me as a developer, and they thought I was their buddy. So when it came to changing some processes, adding some more structure, we were growing really fast and we needed a structure. So I was trying to establish one, but I got a lot of resistance, and I allowed them sometimes to just go back to their old things,
Mm-hmm.
just because of this feeling that I'm a friend with them, I'm one of them. It
Mm,
was hard for me to kind of um, being maybe a bit more pushy,
right.
explaining them a bit more why I'm doing this, why we need this um, structure, right? So we, before, for example, we didn't have any daily visit team because we work hybrid. We constantly someone was in office. We could chat and update information. So it wasn't the need to do that. But when we started growing, we started introducing dailies, and a lot of people were like, "Why I need to do that?" You
Right.
know how it's happening. So yeah, a lot of resistance, and with this resistance, in the first place, I wasn't able to go through this
Hmm.
properly.
Okay. So if you were to advise somebody who is in a similar position now, what would your advice be to them?
Oof. That's probably not a good idea, could be like for the first side, but I would actually suggest try to switch the project where people don't know you, and then maybe go back to your team, like try to work with the teams that don't know you.
Okay.
It's actually easier to establish some limits and borders with the team that you just introduced to,
Right.
then yeah, because when you're friends, it's kind of different conversation. And yeah, especially for me, like this is a bit a gender topic too,
Mm,
because I'm a woman and most of the developers I work with, most of my team's colleagues, they're men. And there is
mm,
a lot of there is a different expectations. So
mm.
yeah.
Right. No, that's really interesting. I like your suggestion of, just start afresh somewhere else, and where you don't have all that baggage, like of, so I like that. But I wonder if you're in a situation whereby you don't have that opportunity, like you're in the team, you've been promoted, or you've been made a project manager, it's still the same people. um so let me ask you this, like, you ended up still managing the team projects after that, and you ended up getting over all those challenges initially, right?
Initially, yes. Finally, we made up with team. We established some rules inside the team,
Okay.
but about working with the same people.
Yeah.
It was a person that I couldn't establish this new way and new relationships.
Hmm.
So finally, I changed the company because of this
So,
person.
wow.
So yeah, it was a big conflict that became really personal to me.
Oh,
So,
wow. So this person was a friend before, and just because, yeah, it's like it couldn't quite transcend the personal, I guess, the personal front, and then it was just easier to just maybe start afresh somewhere, right? Is that one? Wow. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I can only imagine. I can't imagine what that must be like. I've never been in that situation before. Actually, yeah, actually, I think I have. Yeah, because I've sort of lived in many countries. By the way, for those of you that are listening, if you have questions, just put them in the chat. I see M Salman has left a question. So thank you. We'll probably get to that towards the end. But if you have questions, just put them in the chat, and we'll do our best to get to it. But yeah, so in my situation, when I was leading, this was when I was overseas, and I was leading our region. Um, so I got promoted. I was one of the youngest. So first of all, like, just being one of the youngest, it's already
Yeah.
something to deal with, right? So and there's imposter syndrome, and like, mixed with, I know I can do this, because I'm also ambitious. I've always been ambitious. So there's that mixed with imposter syndrome, and then there's also people that maybe were even above you before. Right now, they are, in my case, like, there are some people that were above me before. Now they're reporting, to me. So yeah, that was really tough, and like, you can tell, because so some people are there are different kinds of people. There are some people that are cool with it. Some people, like, initially, it's like they're not quite sure. Like, some people, they just know to, like, things have changed, and they know to sort of just respect the new dynamic. There are some people that are like, but there are some people that want to challenge you and really, push you. And I remember this one person, and he was a lot older. Like, I think he had, like, kids that were almost my age, um, and we would always butt heads. Like, I would say one thing, he would want to establish his influence and all of that. So it actually now got to a point where it's like, I have to, and then I was young as well, right? So I'm also trying to, ego gets in the way. I'm also trying to really show him that, hey, I'm actually, in charge here. But yeah, I mean, in the end, what happened? I think in the end, in the end, I was able to successfully lead the region, but then I ended up getting laid off, and we went our separate ways. But like I could always tell that whenever I would go meet with him, even he would only accept my things grudgingly. Like it's almost like I have no choice, and find passive aggressive ways to just
Mhm.
fight back, right? So yeah, sometimes like it's difficult to write that situation. Sometimes it's just best like, all right, yeah, maybe we just have to just part ways, right? You just have to just manage and deal with with, with the situation that you have, right? So yeah, that's my little story. So going back to you, because this is about you, how do you so if you're a PM and you're struggling with developers that um are very technical and you are not quite technical, so what would your advice be to that PM, to be able to lead those developers well and to build trust with them?
There's two things, I think. The first one, you always need to remember that you're dealing with the person first.
Okay.
So, yes, he's a developer. That's his role. Yes, he could be very um, sometimes arrogant because he has all of this technical knowledge. I know a lot of guys who are like feeling like this role is their, I don't know, the full of their existence.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. But there is still a person inside.
Mm.
So try to relate with anything outside of this role of this person.
Mhm.
So maybe, especially if you're working in an office, it's really easy. Usually people have a lot of personal stuff on their desk. You can understand some things only from that, like maybe some stickers of the game, you're also playing it. Maybe it's a book you can talk about. So maybe they have kids, you can talk about some advices or just share stories. So just to find something to relate to a person, right?
Mm.
So usually it's very rare that we have really intense conflicts just because of technical issue.
Right.
There is also emotions, there is also personal feelings. So when you can relate to a person, even if you have a technical misunderstandings, it's easy to fix because it will almost never grow to this really big conflict because of these emotions
Right.
and all of this stuff. So yeah,
Right.
this is the first thing. The second thing, if you're working with a technical teams as a project manager and you see yourself in this path in this career, I would encourage you to actually learn something. You don't need a computer science degree. I assure you, you don't need it. After I get one, I can say that not every developers need them. But um, there is a lot of ways to learn and understand what programming looks like and what ways developers are doing and what they dealing with, what the problems they have. First is vibe coding. There is a kind of a lot of memes on this topic. Um, actually, the first, I think, positive memes about project managers I saw is that the first vibe coders actually project and product managers. So because we used real person as in AI, so we wrote these prompts to real person to developer, so they could do the work for us.
Mm.
So now we have AI. So you can practice that. You can build a simple app for your needs. Maybe replace something you're paying for subscription to just wipe code your personal one You will don't need to pay for that, and you
Right.
will have a lot of skills and understanding how the technical stuff works. The
Right.
second thing, if you wanted to dive deeper, but you don't want to really actually learn how to code, there is a system design.
Mm.
For many companies right now, there is even a separate interview for project and technical project and product managers that call
Right.
system design. So it's actually really can help your career because you will be prepared for interviews, but it also gives a lot of understanding how the system works.
Right. Right. No, that's really good. You mentioned a lot of good things there, and I'm just gonna touch on a few. So, for me as well, so I was a technical project manager, technical program manager, um, and I mean, I was because there's a spectrum when it comes to technical project manager. There is on the one hand an ex-developer, right? I guess kind of like you who can code, who's now managing projects. On the other hand, there's on the other side of the spectrum, there's somebody who's just comfortable in a technical environment, right? So they can't code, but they're very comfortable with developers, right? So I was more on that side of the spectrum. But then I started to get interviews from like a lot of the big tech companies. So I was now preparing for the interviews, and I went to register for system design courses, right? And that really helped opened my mind to like another side of the technical sphere, so to speak, right? You have these questions like, okay, design Uber, design WhatsApp, design, and a lot of times like the approach is normally the same, like the way of thinking. So after I did some of those courses, I was like, wow, okay, I started to it's almost like a whole new world opened up to me. I started to understand things better. Like I started to, not always like jot things down to go Google after. Like I could actually, understand conversations, better. So I really like that point of system design. Um, to your point on vibe coding, do you have any tools that you recommend? If somebody wants to start vibe coding.
Um, any, I would say any AI you're comfortable with. So start thinking not like I wanted to find the best AI tool for coding. You don't need one because these AI tools for coding, they're for developers.
Mm,
And most of this functionality, it doesn't make sense for you. So just, I would say start with the tool you're already using because different AIs, they have different response and sensibility for some specific words and prompts.
mhm,
And if you're already comfortable with one and you know what is a better way to communicate with it,
mm,
so I would say start with the same tool you're using for different purpose because all of them, they can help you with vibe coding. All of
right,
them. You
right.
don't need something special.
Yeah, right. No, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. And to the other point that you mentioned earlier, like you need to just remember that the person that you're dealing with is a person at the end of the day. So underneath all that technical genius is a person. And it reminds me of one project that I was leading. And this person was a very difficult. He was like a senior architect, a very difficult person. The reason that actually brought me into the project was that the project was just a disaster, and it was a high tech project then, and it was like something on the leading edge, but the team just couldn't get it, together. So they brought me in. So the project was a mess. Everybody was frustrated, and I went to just met with the different stakeholders to really understand what's going on. Right, did my listening tour, and in one of the so we're having a group meeting, and in one of the meetings, like the lead architect just started yelling, right? And I wasn't quite used to that because usually people don't just yell in meetings. So this was like, I mean, like
Yeah.
really yelling, like he was frustrated and everything. And I was like, okay, I see why this is one reason why this project is not moving, because it's a toxic, just like, I mean, yeah, it's not a good environment. So what I did is that I took this because like this person is like the most senior person, technical person. So I had a one-on-one with him. And like I know you want a successful project. That's why I'm here. Like, I, I you want a successful project. I want a successful project. Like, what is like that reaction? Um, it's not really helping anyone move forward. So anyway, after just leveling with him, seeing the person, like what's really going on, I ended up finding out that this guy is just really frustrated that the entire team is depending on him, right? So it's like he has so much to do. He's overwhelmed. There's all this pressure, So and with that, like the person, he actually apologized in public and thanked me in public, right? So I didn't have any. I wasn't like a technical, person, but it was just, I like that point of just try and get to know the person. A lot of times, maybe he's never been able to articulate like why he's frustrated, but like I gave him the space to do that, and like that changed things. We're able to hit our targets, and that just changed everything, the team dynamic, the culture, and everything. So I just wanted to add that to your point of like just get to know the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand completely what you're talking about. I had some similar situation recently. I had a person, the whole team was dependent on him. And in these cases, this frustration could grow for years and years. And sometimes, like in your case, you can talk with a person and you will get a great result. Every person understand what's happening. You will help in the person, and the project will have a success. Sometimes, unfortunately, these people already burned out.
Right.
They're frustrated, and they're not ready to change anything. They're like, I don't care anymore. And
Right.
this is the last stage you can see in people. So when they're yelling, at least they care. So when they're yelling, they still care. They still have this energy to change things.
Right.
But when you have this complete depression and there is no desire to do something, and the person like, I will do my job, yes, because you're paying for me for that. But I don't want any changes. And even you understand that person is need help, you can't help him or them. So there could be different situation. And yeah, when I'm talking like you need to know the person, this is about the whole team. The first team I usually suggest for people who asking me like, what should I do in my first week or first month at new job? Like, go to know people. This is your only responsibility in your first months. Go to know people, because the project depends on them and depends on what you will see. You will understand what this team needs.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a really important point. Like one of the first things that I do when I just join a team or a project, I just do like a lot of one-on-ones, and it's what's the word? It's almost like you have the past to do that, because like at the very beginning, people are more understanding. Like like I go far and wide, up VP, C-suite. I just go one-on-ones on me. Oh, I just wanted to introduce myself, 15 minutes and like that is sometimes I've so with many people I now have like repeated one-on-ones after, but some people I just had just that one 15-minute meeting at the beginning, and that's normally enough for me to it's like an investment that I've made at the very beginning, and I can use that investment, I can cash in on that investment later on. Like it's amazing. Just that it could be a 5-10 minute meeting. I just want to say hello, introduce myself and all of that, and from the rest moving forward, like that person will be in your corner, right? So yeah, I'm a big proponent of that. Like just at the very beginning, just meet with people one-on-one. Yeah. So moving on to another question. So how do you as a PM, maybe you might not be as technical and you want to ask questions. You want to ask the right questions. Do you have any advice for somebody who's maybe trying to navigate that? You don't want to sound clueless, but you want to make sure that you ask the right questions because you want to make sure that the project is successful. Like any advice there?
when I started my career as a project manager, I was so afraid to ask questions to the business management part. So I was really comfortable with developers, but I was
Mhm.
really afraid of management. And I was really afraid to show them that I don't understand something.
Mm.
And I was trying to hide this. And I was trying to think of this eloquent way to create this question, but not showing them that I don't know something, but also get information I need. And I spent
Mhm.
so much time to do that. And
Mhm.
now only one advice I have, just ask the question. You don't need this beautiful way to ask this question. You
Mm.
don't need, especially if you're new to the team or the company, they will hopefully they will explain it to you
Mm.
because you're new, you have this leverage kind of thing. Um, and even if you're not new, you still have the right not to know. You cannot know everything about and business side and technical side. It's just impossible to do.
Mm.
So actually, no one expects you to know everything.
Right.
So usually the best way for me that I found through these years is just to explain the part of information I have and I know about the subjects we're talking about and ask the question after.
Mm.
So the person who you are addressing the question, so they have this context of your understanding, right? So if you're explaining on your own words what you already know, they don't need to do all of this explanation. They
Right.
understand where your gaps and they help you to cover these gaps. That's
Right.
it.
Right. And I really like that. I think one of the things I like that you mentioned is just explaining what you know, because I think people give you more grace when it's like you're not displaying intellectual laziness, because some people, oh yeah, just what is this, what is that, they're always asking when you can just quickly Google or ask ChatGPT. So I think just even showing that, yes, like you can never know everything. Even there are developers that don't know everything, right?
Yeah.
But you've actually done something on your end. So I think even like them knowing that, it gives you more, it earns you more credibility with them. So I really like that. And now with AI, I mean, you can tell AI, explain this to me like I'm a 12-year-old, like so it's amazing how you can just easily now drill down with AI. So yeah, no, that's really amazing. And there was something else I wanted to mention. Yeah, so sometimes I use this. So naturally, I'm somebody who likes to ask a lot of questions. I've been that way, right? So yeah, I do ask a lot of questions, but sometimes like I try to couch my questions like, okay, this might be obvious, but what about this? So I don't know, for some reason, like I don't know, I feel like it's it removes the awkwardness from the question, you know and sometimes, I mean, I don't care, like, oh, quick dumb question, and I just like, if you think it if it's a dumb question, I was a dumb question, I've already removed the power from it because I'm the one owning the dumb question, right? So I don't know, I've found that helpful in my case. I don't know, do you have you used
Yeah.
similar strategy or no?
Yeah, I think sometimes, like there is a question that everyone wants to ask, but no one
Right.
really needs because
Right.
they don't want to seem dumb. They don't want to get some questions back from their management. They don't want to show that they don't know something. So yeah, I usually also do that. Like,
Right.
I will ask this question for the team. So it kind of gives them permission to continue the topic and ask more if I miss something, right?
Right.
So because I raise the topic by using this question, and then we can continue the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
And no, that as you're saying that, like something just came to mind now, because when you're dealing with a lot of technical people, like these are very smart people. So like that thing of I don't want to seem stupid, I feel like that's even more pronounced with them, right? So you actually, in a way, you're doing it with people because nobody knows everything, and a lot of times, like you are sort of the voice for the, for the dumb question that many people have but are afraid to ask, right? And I found that as a PM, a lot of times when I ask these questions that might seem quote unquote dumb, you will find that it really exposes the understanding of the group. Like,
Yeah.
because you ask this question, somebody gives an answer, and then another person thinks, something else, and then you realize that, okay, we actually don't know what we're doing here, right? And this happens a lot of time,
Yeah.
just these like obvious questions out there. And I think it's actually a very effective PM tool. And I think I've just naturally just, done this where it's like, all right, obvious questions, you're just throwing it out there because, and sometimes you might even have an idea of what the answer to the question will be, but that maybe not everybody is on the same page. So you sort of see the question so that you can start to hear people's opinions and then you align, right? Because there's nothing like everybody just say, oh yeah, good idea, great idea. And then they leave the meeting room with a different understanding, So I just thought I
Yeah.
should mention at that point. Yeah. Amazing. So let's see. So what is this question? Yeah, this is one question I have. What is one way to push back on developers, right? So if a developer tells you, all right, I'm just giving an example, can't happen. It's gonna take 3 cycles and you need to push back. Like, what's a good way to push back?
Um, I think the most honest way to explain what is the reason why you need this push, right?
Okay.
So if you will explain honestly with people what's going on, like I had a lot of situations when the sales teams promise to customers something really quick, really fast, really easy. And then I'm getting information from the developer that it will take like 3 sprints. So, and it's already promised, and they did some marketing stuff, and they already posted something publicly. So this is this is normal project management stuff, I think. So go to a developer and explain what happened. Honestly, like, yeah, we have this situation. This is a failure. Yes, we failed. We
Yeah.
didn't ask you, we didn't got this estimation, we didn't understand the whole complexity.
Right.
What we can do now? So let's think. Yes, this is my problem, not yours, but let's think what we can do with that. So usually they're really cooperative and they help you to find something, maybe split the feature on 2 things, and they can do some quick fix and they will deliver the whole feature. Um, Maybe they do some demo kind of stuff.
Right.
The best way, I think, it's honesty. Yeah, in these cases, it's definitely honesty to explain what's happening. Like we had recently a big feature we promised to board of directors. And
Right.
yes, we explained it to developers teams like, guys, yes, we have really tight deadlines because of this and that. So we sit together and like, okay, we need another 2 3 weeks, but we don't have it. What we can do? So this is the collaborative way to solve these problems, not like I will push and they will resolve them and
Yeah.
everyone will be happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how you create burnout. No, I really like that. Yeah, it's a partnership. We're all in this together. And yeah, I agree. Like, when you do that, you also show that you respect them, and and I find out like when stuff like that happens, it sucks. Like you're with them, you acknowledge, the emotion and all of that. But then they get excited about thinking of creative ways solve this, because like a lot of times like developers like love that, like they're
Mhm.
also creatives as well, right? So I find out like once they see that you're on the same page with them, you're on the same team with them, like you're looking out for them, then you can now get the best of them. And a lot of times like I can't tell you how many situations I've been in where it's like impossible, no, because like these things always come from up that
Yeah.
up high. Oh yeah, it's been promised, and they're like there's pushback, and they've they're kicking and screaming and all of that. But once things settle, like a lot of times we've done the impossible, as cheesy as that sounds, and it's one of the best feelings, like to lead a project that everybody thought could never be done, and the developers grow, and everybody everybody is better for it. Yeah, but it's yeah, but it can lead to burnout if you're always doing that like
Yeah.
successfully, right? So it just needs to be done with care. Yeah, amazing. All right, so let's go to questions. So this is from M Salman. It said, is it because of change of market conditions, or is it because you start taking on more ownership in delivery and the transition into PM role? Okay, I'm not sure I really understand the question, Salman. So if you can clarify, maybe this was a point that we're talking about later on, but if you can clarify, we'll be happy to take that on. While that's happening, do you want to do some rapid fire questions?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That's always fun.
Yeah. What's one book you love or recommend?
Oof. The Phoenix Project.
Okay.
I will recommend it to everyone who's working on tech, despite of their role. This is the best book to understand how tech industry works.
Nice. Yeah, I I think I have that book, and I started reading it, but I haven't finished it. But I've heard a lot of good things about that book. Yeah, the Phoenix Project. What's one app you love or recommend?
I personally love Todoist. I don't know what I would do without it. All my personal tasks, all my life, all my work tasks, everything there to manage. Yeah, it's really, really simple, but really effective for me.
Nice, nice. Do you use it to manage projects?
No, but I use it to manage my life
Your life, yeah.
overall.
Makes sense. That's like the top layer. Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I tried to use a lot of project management apps for my personal life, but I found them really complex for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I try that as well, and it's just like I just want to just have a simple list,
Yeah.
and just check things off. There's no need for all that. And I think I'm also the kind of PM that after my 9 to 5, like I don't want to have anything to do with PM. Like I want to be not organized. I want to be messy. I don't want to. I want to be the opposite of a PM, yeah, because I'm also a creative person, right? So I just drop all that. Yeah, I drop all that control at work. Yeah.
Good for
What?
you.
Yeah. What's one podcast you love or recommend?
Oh, um, I'm learning Spanish right now. I switched all my podcasts in Spanish.
Wow.
So if you speak Spanish, Chisme Corporativo. It's a podcast about brands and what's happening with the business right now.
Hmm.
They discussing a lot of scandal stories. The recent stories with Warner and that they bought Warner Brothers, for example, and a
Hmm.
lot of stuff. And it's good for your business Spanish if
Hmm.
you want to work in Spanish.
Could you say that again? What's the name?
Chisme corporativo.
Nice.
Chisme, it's like a tea, you
Ah,
know.
nice, nice. Awesome. All right. What's one productivity hack that actually works for you?
I know that many people use urgency and impotency when they try to prioritize tasks. But I have ADHD and I use different systems that was developed for ADHD people, and I found it really effective. I'm actually trying to assess if it's stimulating and if it's fun. So based on these two categories, I am prioritizing my work, and it helps with manage my energy, not my time, kind of thing.
So those are the two variables. Is it stimulating
Yeah,
and fun? Interesting.
yeah, it's like the same that we use with
Right.
importance and
The
urgency.
Eisenhower, yeah, the Eisenhower matrix, but instead of
Yeah.
time, urgency, and importance, you just switch it with stimulating and fun. Wow, that is interesting. I think I should try it. Okay. So do a lot of things go into the stimulating and fun quadrant?
Oh, sometimes a lot of things going to not fun and stimulating, like
Okay.
to write report at the last
Right.
night before the board of directors or something like
Right.
that. So
Right.
yeah.
Nice. So does the priority work the same way with the Eisenhower matrix? You know how there is, do noun, delegate, um, defer or what have you. Like there are different actions for the different quadrants.
It's
Does
a
it work
bit
the same way?
different. No, it's a bit different system. Because it's not about to completely remove something, it's about to delegate. It's about to manage your energy and have task in every quadrant, basically. So you're just trying to manage it better because I have ADHD, tends to do everything in the last moment. So I have usually a lot of stuff and stimulating and not fun.
Right.
And I, for example, don't have enough stuff for fun and maybe not so stimulating, but fun,
Gotcha.
right? So this is, I think the whole system's called solve it grid. So it was originally developed for ADHD people to understand, because we are bad with prioritizing, and it's easier to think like, do I like it, right? Do I have fun with it or not? Or is it really kind of pushing me to do things? It's stimulating me to do things or not?
So no, this is really interesting. So at the beginning of the day, if you look at your to-do list with this matrix, so is this about helping you to make sure that you have a balanced day? Like if a lot
Yeah.
of things are sort of okay, you in one
Yeah.
bucket, you can maybe drop things, add some things to other quadrants to give you nice. This is
Yeah.
really amazing. This is something that I should, because sometimes I think this gives you more control, right? Because sometimes like you have this to-do list on your post-it, and then you end up finishing the day and you're feeling like completely drained. But I like this. This is almost like an intentional way to try to take control of your day. So I kind of like that. Yeah, that's really interesting. Another thing that you mentioned is, you mentioned you have ADHD. So maybe this is a conversation for another day. But it would be interesting to know what it's like to manage projects with ADHD. Like what are some of the unique things or some of the things that you do to to still be like like an effective or a really good project manager. So that would it would be interesting to have that discussion maybe another time.
Maybe another time. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So we've come to the end of this conversation. I had fun. This was really stimulating for me. Irina, for people that want to reach out to you, how can they best do that?
LinkedIn. I have a great page on LinkedIn. I'm trying to post in regularly different stories and lessons I personally learned. So I think this is the best way.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, please do connect with Irina. She has a that's how I got to meet her, is from my LinkedIn page. So she posts pretty good content. So please do connect with Irina. Irina, thank you so much for being here. This was fun. Thank you all for listening, and
thank you.
We'll be in touch soon. Yeah. Take care
Yeah,
now.
thank you. Bye bye for everyone.
Bye.